Hey everybody, this is Brad Bruce and I am here with
Jace Marsiglia.
And you're listening to the 5195 podcast.
Smack at you.
Back at it.
Smack at it.
Smack at it.
Spank it.
Rewrite. We just rewrote it.
Yeah. Not bad.
That was a terrible intro.
That was really
On my
bad.
part.
So you know what that means.
I need notes.
Interior night. This is very impromptu. This topic kind of just came up because we were talking about it on the damn porch. Mm-hmm. Brad and I have porch talks.
We do.
Yeah, usually, just to give people a little bit of insight, we finish an episode, head downstairs. It's usually some ungodly hour of the night.
Always.
And we just talk about whether the episode was good, bad, otherwise, and just sort of, I don't want to say detox, decompress after a recording. And we got to talking about the biz and what we want out of it and some of the things that you wind up dealing with, which are much different from other people's 9-to-5s or whatever. Came up with the idea of talking about time management and how this business, especially if you're aspiring to be a part of it, I almost hate to put it this way, but it's like you benefit from it the most if you're single.
Yeah.
You have to live a pretty lonely and nomadic life to be a filmmaker, I think. Not that there aren't people that make it work, but the thing is, I think those people, the ones who really make it work, have been so successful at it that they're allowed to be choosy and can do things on their terms. Whereas 90% of us are sort of the hustlers. We have to pave our own way. We have to forge our own path. And usually that means sacrificing a lot in the personal life department. It was just kind of a tangent we were going on at this weird hour of the night. That we tend to think deep thoughts by Jack Handy. But it's true. Both me and Brad come from very different pasts, I suppose. Different levels of experience, different levels of circumstance. And we thought it would probably benefit people listening who are looking to get into the biz with sort of the unglamorous side of it and, what you can or what you can deal with, or maybe at least what to expect in a sense, maybe. Mm-hmm. Yeah?
Yeah.
So, are we attacking this from a filmmaker standpoint or just a writer standpoint?
That is a good question. Because I'm able to do both. Mm-hmm. And one worked for me, but didn't work out.
Okay.
For me. And so now I'm sort of on a new journey.
Yeah.
With you. Mm-hmm. Meaning what you were doing by just being a screenwriter, period.
Right.
And as amazing as it is, and I do love it a lot. I love the freedom. I love the no stress of being able to just sit down and write a script and just not have anything else to worry about. I'm not worrying about budget. I'm not worried about locations or effects or music or any of that shit. Mm-hmm. But I'm more free than I've ever been in this business by just writing fun stories.
Yeah.
But on the same breath, time is the biggest enemy for me at this moment in my life.
Particularly.
Because it's a big transition for me. Mm-hmm. And I am navigating a bunch of new things. Mm-hmm. Exciting and scary. Mm-hmm. And so with juggling all of these new things I'm doing, I don't have the time to write. Or if I do have the time to write, I don't have the energy to be creative.
No, because you're kind of in a pressurized vacuum now. Mm-hmm. Same. And that was one of the things we mentioned prior to recording was how our circumstances are so different. I'm not currently a resident of California, so that makes it hard for me to attend meetings and whatnot until I'm able.
Yeah.
And until I can carve enough of a way for myself to be able to go, oh, you need me out there in a couple of days? I can drop everything and go.
Yeah.
Yep, no problem. And I've got you here to shack up with if the opportunity pans out and I have to stay here for a little while.
Right.
I can do that until I can make the transition. Until that time, at my level, I'm still a 9-to-5 guy. I still have a day job that demands 9 hours a day, 5 days a week, and depending on volume, possibly weekends. I am also a married man with 2 kids. So free time, even if I just wanted to do nothing, is with the family. And there are people out there who are successful enough, and I'll just use Stephen King as an example. I read somewhere once that for 8 hours a day, he locks himself in his office and writes 8 hours a fucking day, like a day-to-day job. He puts in a shift. So he just puts on some music and just hammers shit out. And that's why his output is so incredible. Because he treats it like a 9-to-5, even though it's not.
Right.
At the same time, he's home with the kids. And one of the things that attracted me to screenwriting in particular, before I learned that you're needed here, was the idea that I can be home with my kids and do this job. And I only had a daughter at the time. And I remember thinking, well, first of all, let me backpedal a little bit. Not too long after my daughter was born, I lost my grandfather. I was dealing with the peak of my depression. It was just kind of like a dog pile of issues that came up for reasons I won't go into on the show, at least this particular one. I went to the doctor, told him my situation, and he actually wrote me out of work for 3 months.
Really?
Yes. He was like, based on the things you've told me, you need a break and you need a big one. And you're handling way too much right now. You're stressing way too hard. And he was like, I think he basically told me to take FMLA from my job, family medical leave, as a, I forget what type I had to fill out. But basically, in a nutshell, I was at a level of depression that he was like, you need to just work through this. And it's not going to work if you keep going to work. And I was like, how am I going to get paid? And he just goes, this level of FMLA, you're going to have to go through unemployment.
Wow.
It's basically, you almost have to treat it like a layoff.
Yeah.
So your job is protected. You can go back to it. But until then, you're going to be unpaid. At least after it blows through whatever vacation time you've accrued, And he was basically like, I'm writing you out for like 3 months. And I was like, holy fucking shit. So this was heavy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, and I'm sitting here thinking, is he doing this to keep from having me committed? Because there's certain levels of depression that some people know, some people don't, where they need you in a isolated area to be monitored. And I was like, if this is the level just below that, okay. But there was pressure on me to get my shit together in 3 months.
Yeah.
Before going back to the world. So I used those 3 months, and it was during summer. It might have been like a June, July, August kind of deal. And I basically bonded with my daughter, my infant daughter. And I remember thinking during that time, this is what I want. I want to be home working on the things I love doing, screenwriting, but to be here for my kid, just to be home with her, And I remember thinking that was a further motivator to pursue screenwriting. It wasn't just the passion of telling stories and getting my stuff out there and making a career out of it. It was, this will afford me time with my family.
Yeah.
And the further in I got and the older my kids got, I've got another kid now, and both of them are pretty much teenagers at this point. So I don't look at it as I miss them growing up, because I've always been present as a father. But those days of just being there while they're small are gone.
Yeah.
And now, as an adult and being closer to achieving that dream, that goal, I realize I probably won't be home with them.
Yeah.
They're going to need me out here. They're going to need me to move out here. And even at that, I may be so busy that I become like Stephen King. And for better or worse, however that may look, I could be cloistered in a room for 8 hours a day and not hanging out with my kids while I bust out a contractual obligation.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not what I dreamt it would be. There is a negative, but at the same time, I'm like, I still want this.
Right.
I still want to pursue this. But it's like, at what cost? And the biggest cost is time. And one of the examples I gave Brad when we were talking about this, discussing it, I had written, Brad and I had kicked around the idea of writing our own Creepshow stories. For whatever, use it in an anthology, or maybe we'll, best case scenario, someone likes it enough to put it as part of the series.
Right.
Cool. It's in the chamber, whether that day comes or not.
Yeah.
And I had started the story that I had written and was kind of pecking at it throughout the week, but because I'm a 9-to-5 guy, I was working a full day, coming home tired, spending some time with my family before they go to bed, and then when everyone goes to bed, now I can work. But now I'm fucking tired. I was tired already, but now I'm fucking tired. And 5 days out of 7, I probably just went to bed because I was just too exhausted to keep my eyes open.
Yeah.
To work. And then there was one night that I was like, fuck this. I'm going to bang this out, because the entire story was done in my head. And it's a short. So it's not like I'm writing a 90 to 100 page script. This came out to like, I don't know, what was it, like 30 pages maybe?
Yeah.
But it was like, I need to just purge this. So I stayed up. I probably finished it around like 2 a.m. and to get up at like 6. You know what I mean? And become part of the rat race again.
Yeah.
And I just remember, now that I'm in my 40s and I'm older, the bounce back is gone.
It is.
I used to be able to pull an all-nighter, then go to work and be like, whatever the fuck ever. It was nothing. Now, I think I was tired, perpetually tired from that night for about like 3 days.
Yeah.
Where like... just
recovering.
Yeah. And I'm like,
I know.
Damn, I just don't have the physicality to do that anymore. Yeah. And so I paid for it. And that's a negative. That is a negative, because now it's taking a toll on your body.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck. It was such a fucking pain. And I'm just like, when people say, oh, you screenwrite, so you sit behind a computer and hammer out stories. I'm like, dude, I'm like, I don't want to like get into it with them, because it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting here now and I'm explaining it in detail. And it's like, to make this work, you really have to sacrifice blood, sweat, and tears. And I understand I'm not in 100-degree weather with a jackhammer on the street or in a skyrise, putting up girders, or even a fucking farm, where I'm dealing with animals and all yes, I understand there is hard salt of the earth work that people have that are a lot harder than what I'm talking about doing.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, this is my dream. This is what I want to happen. And it comes with caveat. and it comes with sacrifice. And that was a big reason why we wanted to talk to you about it today, because it was like, we don't want you to feel like you're the only one going through that. I'm going through it literally right now. And I'm trying to navigate it as best I can. Luckily, I've got a buddy here who's like helping me through it. But at the end of the day, it is time away from your family. Even right now, I'm at the tail end of my 3rd week away from my family. And it's been tough. It's been very tough. It's been tough emotionally. It's been tough physically, just because we do put in late nights and early mornings. The first 2 weeks I was still working my day job. It's hard.
It's very hard.
Super fucking hard. And time management is so fucking important. And even this trip was like, we did plan. I don't think we were as organized as we usually are.
No, it was chaotic, this trip.
This trip was chaotic, but we still sort of was like, if we do this, this, and this, we should be good. And I'd say we kind of 70-30 did that.
Definitely did.
But that's the thing. We had to attack this with a plan. And that was best case scenario, because even our plan was like, this is gonna suck.
Yeah.
This is gonna fucking suck.
Yeah.
You know, because we're gonna do our best to knock out X number of episodes while you're out here. And I think the initial plan was to write more than we have. Well, I don't think I've written dick since I've been out here. Not that we're contractually obligated to do anything right now. Would have been a different story if we had deadlines and shit. But we were definitely, I think we were more ambitious this trip, and it may have hindered us just a smidge.
It did.
So,
but it was also circumstance.
There was a lot of circumstantial shit. Yes.
Yeah.
But that's part of life.
That's just life. That's how we tell. It's like life is always ups and downs.
Life is
how you handle the ups and downs.
Yes. And that's what I'm still trying to learn.
Yeah.
Because again, we've said before, screenwriting is not a lottery ticket. You're not going to submit a script and suddenly be a millionaire overnight, and your whole life's going to change, and da-da-da-da-da. I've been doing this for damn near 20 years now.
Yeah.
With very little to show for it. Certainly nothing financial to show for it. But I'm still pursuing it, and I know a lot of you out there are too. And your situation probably isn't a whole lot different from mine and Brad's in our respects. And I'll let him get to his, but we do have kids and we do have 9-to-5 jobs, and it's hard to fit in the creative stuff when you're paycheck to paycheck, or stressing about maybe your marriage is taking a hit. Your kids are going through stuff and you're not there for them. These are things that I lose a lot of sleep over, a lot of it. And I do question a lot.
Yeah.
Is this worth it? And I still don't stop, because I do think it's worth it. I feel like in the long run, it's only going to benefit my family.
Yeah.
But I would be lying to you through my teeth, and I don't want to, that this is fun yet, or beneficial, or not stressful to friends and family, that I do this, and I have to kind of spirit away for a while.
Yeah.
Because it's been tough. It's been tough on everybody. But I still, when you and I talk about it, it's still to me a means to an end. We're closing a book to open another one. And that keeps me motivated. It keeps the hope alive that what I'm doing is right, and that what I'm doing is going to pay off. But you do have to kind of walk across the coals first.
Yeah.
And I'm still there.
Yeah.
Feet are still hot, Yeah. But I'd be lying also if I said I wasn't close. I feel like, I really do. I feel like you and I are very close to.
We are. There's a lot of really positive things happening.
There are a lot. And, that's another huge motivator that I'm like, okay, if I bail now, this close, it really would be for nothing.
All of it.
All of it.
Yeah.
All the stress, all the nights away.
Yeah. I mean, literally the past 20 years.
Yes.
Would be for nothing.
Nothing. And that's the connections I've made, the friends I've made. This is something, at this point, I'd be foolish not to see it through.
That's a heavy gamble, to just throw away. If that 20 years.
That's the thing. And that's the thing. If the 20 years was empty, it's sad, but you're not throwing away a lot. I don't want to, it's very touchy how to say this, but in those 20 years, even though I've not become a millionaire or even a thousandaire, I have made connections with incredibly important people I've idolized, people that I've been a fan of, who have said, kid, you got something. You've got, I've read your work. You are fucking talented. And I've had people like Dell who've been like, dude, I've seen lesser people succeed wonderfully. And he goes, you're not a lesser person, dude. And he's like, you really just have to strike.
Yeah.
It's up to you now. Cause he goes, to be honest, you've gotten the attention of the right people. And, to hear stuff like that and then go, not for me.
Yeah.
It's just, it's dumb. It's dumb. And you're scared, which is understandable too, but you have to fight that as well.
Right.
Cause I do know people, and probably myself included, if this happened when I first started, if by some weird chance, the first couple years I started writing, suddenly I'm getting all this attention. I think it would have scared me off.
Yeah.
At the young age.
Okay. I could see that.
Where I'm just like, oh shit.
I could see that. Not knowing how to actually handle it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I've been at it long enough, and I've had...
Take your time, Richie Valens.
The night, the music... Sorry. Wow, is he hovering?
Yeah, that is a fucking slow ass plane.
Are you circling?
Good Lord, it's like a fucking lawnmower in the sky. Crash already.
Oh shit. No, I'm kidding.
Fuck.
Jesus.
Watch here, let's be quiet. It's picking it up.
Oh, I know.
Like it's registering on them. You can still hear it.
You can.
We need a studio.
This
is the fucking chaos that we were talking about.
This is the end of it.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So I'm fine with it.
Yeah. Okay, I think we're good. Wait.
Now the drag racers.
Yeah. Is this for real? This is the universe showing us right now, dude.
This is Naked Gun.
Yeah. No, this is it.
Now a marching band's about to go.
Oh my god! So as you can tell, we are definitely not recording in a studio.
No, not at all. We're recording on fucking Sunset Boulevard. I don't even remember what the fuck I was saying. How I would have probably been scared away. That young, to have success thrown at me, I probably would have been like, nope, never mind. I'm just kidding. And I probably wouldn't be sitting here talking to you. But I've gotten my success, quote unquote, kind of meted out in little fits, to where, I got my doses where I was able to kind of level up, and now here I am, podcasting with you. I've had several scripts that have won awards or were nominated, and I have several industry friends. And at this point, to get the encouragement I have and to turn my back on it would be ridiculous.
Yeah, I think it's the biggest slap in the face would be to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Because now it's one thing to sit and go, what if, because you haven't had any kind of, you have no gauge for success at this point. To say what if after literally seeing the finishing line ahead of me.
Right.
And having people in the crowd cheering for you that you grew up watching or you currently watch or read or whatever. God, that would be so disappointing.
Right.
And I can't wrap my head around that now. Whereas the idea of quitting was an easy thought. And it is an easy thought, but I can't with the context I have now.
Yeah. I mean, I will say maybe this is a little bit of like being devil's advocate to the situation. I feel had you been here at the beginning, I feel like your journey would be a lot different than it is right now. Because you are like, you've said, well, I've never really, I haven't monetized off of it, or how there hasn't been many things made,
Sure.
And I think it is, your zip code is hindering that.
I believe that.
Because had you been here, just give an example. Let's just say you lived here and you put a script in a festival here in LA. You could attend it. You could be there.
The show.
Yeah, you could be there. Even if you were an honorable mention or runner up or whatever it may be, you're still there. You're still recognized and you're meeting people. And then it's like you meet that one person, and he's like, hey, I like the script. I'm not I can probably get it made.
Yeah.
You get the movie made, and then it's
Contest be damned.
Exactly, and it's like, or, hey, I have this script. Maybe you want to punch it up. I'll give you, $1,500 or a couple grand, whatever, punch it up. Okay. And I'll meet you at, Starbucks, and we can go over notes and, we'll meet again.
Yeah.
And it's like that same guy is like, hey, my friend has a script or that needs some work, or hey, they're looking for a script. They'll give you $5 grand, 10 grand, 15 grand, whatever, especially on indie, like low budget stuff, It's like, especially for non-WGA, it's like, oh, we'll give you 10 grand or 5 grand, whatever for the script. And you're meeting more people and you're kind of ushered into it a little bit further along than just putting it out there, being so far away and just kind of like, okay, well, good luck to me. Yeah. And that's it, not being able to eye to eye, shake a hand, make a connection. Because again, like I said, here in LA, it's like there's something going on, not every weekend, pretty much every day. There's an event every day.
Yeah.
There's things, there's screenings, and there's the functions, and there's all kinds of stuff. And that's what it's designed for. It's designed for creatives to get together and let's get this made, or I have this, I'm looking for this, or I need a crew, or I need someone to finish the script, or whatever it may be, I mean, and I've been lucky enough to be a part of a couple of those things where I've booked some jobs, whether it be like production design, art department things, or even just like punching up someone's script, and then it became almost like word of mouth.
Sure.
It worked, and again, I wasn't just like doing screenwriting. I was like, I'll do anything. I'll do special effects. I'll write. I'll set deck. I'll build props. Whatever it may be. I'll do whatever on set.
Well, yeah, more so than me. You're kind of a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
You do have a healthy hand in a lot of different cinematic avenues. If you're not ready to,
I'm definitely comfortable on set.
Yes.
There's a few things that I will steer away from.
Sure.
And I have turned down a couple of jobs that were like, fuck, I wish I could have done that. But I think on that level, my sense of want for the movie to be good is more than my wanting to make money.
Sure.
Because, you can take a job and not know shit about it and kind of learn by the seat of your pants if you're like set designing. It's like, well, you're just sort of... I always looked at it as like you're just redecorating your room,
Sure.
So it's like, here's a list of things we need. Go get this, and then you're set decking. But I don't think you should be so hard on yourself. And you definitely have grown out of that a lot since we've started this journey of podcasting.
Oh, sure.
You know, your outlook on things and your own worth have grown, and you're proud of your stuff, and you know your worth.
Yeah.
And before you were kind of like, I hate to throw you under the bus, and if you don't want it out there, we can get rid of it. But at the beginning, very, very beginning, you were always like, hey man, if you're happy, I'm okay.
Yeah.
But now you're like, that was a fucking good show. That was great. We're doing good things. Or,
yeah,
it's like your sense of value is really being heightened.
I'm not a good gauge for podcast stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm only a casual listener for one, but to be a part of one is a little bit different. Mm-hmm. And so I really didn't have, and we mentioned this on one episode a long time ago where I was like, this was never part of my plan.
Yeah.
And so I had nothing to gauge it. And so I was like, if you're happy, I'm happy.
For sure.
Even though you weren't exactly a podcast guru either.
Not at all.
But you, being more of an industry guy, you know how things should sound, you know how things should move, you know how things should do this or that. So I trusted your opinion and was like, yeah, if you're cool, I'm cool.
For sure.
But we're so deep into it now that it's like I'm starting to recognize the beats we need to hit, the jokes that work and don't work, the topics that are worth talking about, where even if it's not me recognizing my worth, like you said, I'm definitely seeing the show's worth.
Yeah.
Collectively, as a whole.
Right.
And yeah, I can confidently say now, yeah, that was fucking good. Mm-hmm. Or yeah, I think that'll really touch people. Like I think this episode, we may not hear it from listeners because we're still we're new enough now that we don't get a lot of feedback outside of our circles.
Right.
But there's got to be people out there that are in our situation who is like, I'm ready to turn it in. I don't know if this is for me. And, I've got these kids and it's a job and all that, time sucks. And I'd like to think that if they're listening to this, they can go, maybe I can. Mm-hmm. And it'll be tough, but maybe I can. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm doing that right now. I'm sitting here going, it'll be tough, but maybe I can.
Yeah.
And I definitely, there's a little bit of added pressure for me being further along to go, boy, I would be letting down not only my family, not only Brad, I'd be letting down Harry. I'd be letting down Jimmy. I'd be letting down Iniguez, DeLorenzo, Tiffany Shepis, Debbie Rashawn, all these people who have come in and out of my life and given me that pat on the back.
Yeah. And
wanted to see me succeed. Yeah, it's added pressure, but it's a good kind of pressure. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, they're coaches in a way who are like, try to take the shot. There's a 50-50 chance you'll either miss it or it'll swish right in.
Yeah.
And I don't want to let those people down. I'm such a fucking people pleaser that I think of them first instead of me. Because I guess I always kind of grew up thinking that's greedy. And
really?
I have.
Okay.
Yeah. Where, my outlook on things should fall in line with the people important to me. More so my kids and my wife.
Okay. Well,
than anybody.
Yeah, that's a given.
Yeah. But it's like, you and Tina had said a few days ago, you're like, this is a business where you kind of have to be greedy. Mm-hmm. You got to do it for you. Mm-hmm. And might have been a day or two later, I'm talking to my wife about it, and she goes, you got to do, you have to do this for you. And we'll just be there.
Yeah.
Whether the kids want to move or not, that kind of thing. She was just like, you fought too hard.
Yeah.
This should be for you. And I'm like, fuck, I got this speech twice and I didn't even tell her about what Tina said or you said.
Really?
Not about it not about doing it for me.
Oh, really?
Nope. All I talked to her about on this trip was some of the caveats that you had told me about, where you're like, there's going to be conversations that are had that are going to get under your skin. There's going to be time away from your family during inopportune moments that you're never going to get back. And I was telling her about those things. How I was like, I need to know whether or not this is okay. And she was like, it doesn't matter. And I go, what do you mean it doesn't matter? And she was like, this is what you have to do. This is what you've been aiming for since I've known you.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, but I'm like, it's time away and it sucks. And, packing up and uprooting everything. I went through the whole rigmarole that goes through my head when I have to really consider all these things. Mm-hmm. And she was like, no, you do this for you and we're just here for you.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And I was like, again.
But it's got to give you some comfort.
It does, but it's at the same time, it didn't make me go, yeah, for me. Because I look at it like, fuck you. Mm-hmm. Do it for them.
Yeah.
Do it for Brad. Do it for DeLorenzo. Do it for, because to me, that's more of a motivator than do it for you. I can't think like that. I don't know how.
Yeah, I do know what you mean.
Because when the good things happen, I'm proud of myself.
Right.
And I'm happy. But it's not because I was like, I did it because fuck everybody. Mm-hmm. I did it. Me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I put in the work. Those are my words on the page. But I'm doing it to make other people proud of me. Which I've heard from one camp that that's not good enough. Shouldn't be your motivating factor. And I've heard from the other camp who's like, you should just be happy with what you did. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, it's hard for me to do that.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm wired that way.
At all?
No, maybe a little more so now, like you said, meeting certain people and mm-hmm. paving enough of a path that people are peeking out of the bushes and going, hey,
yeah,
I see what you're doing there. That's motivating.
It's funny. The only thing that popped in my mind right now is when we were doing Jimmy's interview.
Yeah.
And you were like, oh, you're from Michigan. I'm from Michigan. And then Dell came up behind you and whispered like, yeah, but we left.
He did. Yeah. Yeah, but we left. He did.
Because he understands, he knows.
Yes.
He gets it. And I think that it's part joke, but it's also like, this is the formula.
Yep.
And I do think you are taking these strides to get there. Yeah. More than you ever have before.
I think so too.
Because like, even again, like getting back to podcasting is like, yeah, I've always wanted to do it. And it's always been something that's been talked about with the group, whoever I was, making films with or, whatever is like, oh, that would be great. And we always talked and talked and talked and talked. And I'm like, guys, we have the money, we have the time, we had the space. Cause nothing would have been better than to do it at our studio.
Oh, sure.
Where it's soundproof and we could do whatever we want there.
Yeah.
Well, like that was the most opportune time to do a podcast. And everyone's like gung ho, like, yeah, but it was almost like everyone's like, well, if you want to do it, I guess we'll just show up and do it. I never really had anyone that was like giving insight or were bringing topics or even someone that really challenged me mm-hmm. to want to be able to do it, And then when we had met, of course, it wasn't like, oh my God, this is my podcast partner.
No,
because it was years.
Didn't even come up.
It was years, and it's just, I don't know, there was something inside that was like, you know what? I feel like this might be the time to do it. And, I started playing with the idea of like, okay, who? And obviously you were always at the forefront, but I didn't want to add pressure to you. Mm-hmm. Like here's not only one more thing, but here's a really tough thing to where you kind of got to be present a lot.
Yeah.
And you're not like an hour away. You know what I mean? Like this is a actual daunting task to make this happen. Yeah.
For now.
And when I presented it to you, like I said, we've talked about it on episodes in the past, where you weren't right out the gate like, fuck yeah, I'm in. Mm-hmm. There was some reservations there, which I was like, hey, I respect that.
Yeah.
And only thing I could do was just tell you my plan.
Yeah.
And because I've always been of the ilk of take every opportunity and try it. I would rather try and not succeed than never know it all.
Yeah.
And I always try to take every opportunity that comes my way. Mm-hmm. And again, it was like, it kind of started with us on the phone talking, and it was like, this is a podcast.
Oh, just the way we would crack each other up.
Yeah. I'm like, this is entertaining, and it's because we are kind of in this weird position in the industry where we're not quite fucking famous in there, but we're also not just starting day one. And we have had these weird experiences, good and bad. And so I feel like, yeah, we are further along than a lot of people, and we're not really where we want to be, but we know how to navigate.
Yeah.
And we know how to get there.
And people can go along for the ride. We're not speaking from the end of a career and reminiscing and giving advice. We're like, no, this is happening right now.
Right now. We're still here. Yeah. And it gets right back down to the topic of the show of time management. Managing our time to do this is strategic.
Extremely.
We are like literally bouncing.
Perfect word for that.
Yeah, we are bouncing dates, weeks, times for months. Almost when you leave, we give ourselves like a week or two break, but then we're pretty much like, okay, let's start figuring out the next one.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, well, we have X amount of shows. This puts us at this date. If you can land and we have a few to like pad, and then we can start filling the banks again.
Not just that, but it gets even more chaotic when we're like, we have this interview or that interview available. Now we got to work with them, or Tina works with them usually, but it's like, okay, here's your window. We got to figure out how to get this. Are we going to go to them? Blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of logistics.
Yeah.
And a lot of time management, like you said, and,
well, that was the thing. We had some really fun guests.
Yeah.
Booked for this trip, but just because of our circumstances, it didn't work out. Scheduling was always the biggest
It was a huge
factor.
issue.
Yeah. And so I think we kind of made the executive decision with our time, we need to bank. We need to bank our shows over wasting a whole day to get one episode versus let's throw 4 or 5 down in one day instead of just having one, even though it would have been good. And that was just because our time, this trip, was very limited. Even though there was a big block of time you had to be here.
Yeah, that's the most ironic thing.
Yeah.
We had 3 full weeks. And, yeah, it's just, what a weird trip this was.
Right, because essentially, the first time we had done this, at this house we're in right now, we have basically a bonus room in the garage. It's like a 3-car garage, and there's a bonus room. So we had set up that area, soundproofed it, made it was just dialed in, and we could record out there no problem. But of course, here in Southern California, we're either cold as fuck or hot as fuck.
Yep.
And sometimes it is easier to deal with the cold than it is the heat.
Yeah.
And this time I knew summer was going to be an absolute bitch, and I was correct. Yep. So I was like, you know what? We're going to have to bring it inside.
Yeah.
So bring it inside. We're now kind of invading my family's space where I'm like, hey guys, I'm sorry, but we're going to record now. And I felt terrible, but I'm like, just we're going to record. We'll let you know when we're done. Yeah. But it's also, this is just part of the journey, man. These are just part of the pitfalls and the things that come up that you have to deal with.
I like to think that it's showing others who are listening that we're adaptable, and that this hand we were dealt on this trip wasn't a great one, and we made it work.
We definitely made it work
to the best of our ability.
We did, and I think we turned out some great shit. I'm very proud of some of those, the stuff we've done.
Me too. But yeah, I definitely that's the thing. This whole time management thing, the entire focus of this episode, whether it's writing or trying to knock out episodes, book guests, all that shit, and maintain, for me anyway, a 9-to-5 job. Similarly for you, you've got.
Oh yeah, no,
You're self-employed.
I'm definitely self-employed, and it's one of these things where it's like, it's just as stressful as a 9 to 5 because it's like, well, I don't really get off.
No.
You know what I mean? It's like I always got something to deal with. I always got to make sure something is delivered or shipped or questions are answered or, you know, whatever it may be. Or like if I have, because I have spots all over the place where we sell shit and we do things. And it's like, it's time management. And it's like, you're out and then you leave your house, at like 10 o'clock in the morning and then you're getting home at like 11 o'clock at night. You don't really want to, okay, now it's time for me to sit down and write.
Exactly.
I
mean, I went with you everywhere, but one of our runs was literally buying school shit for your kids.
Yeah.
That's 9 to 5 in a parental sense, but that's the day-to-day
shit. It's domestic shit.
It's domestic shit that needed to get done, and we had to figure out.
We got to fit all this stuff in.
We got to fit all this
in. At the end of the day, it's just, we're regular people too.
We are, and that's the thing. I was like, I had no problem running around aisles going, where's the clear ruler? Yeah. Where's the colored
And that's
pencil?
the thing too, is that like, being entertainers, we're always on and being funny. And it's like, it's funny when we always get reactions from other people in stores or wherever, places we're at. That happens all the fucking time. And then we usually try to, angle it to where it's like, well, here's a sticker. Listen to our show. Like, just a shameless plug and, just feed our ego even that much more.
Yeah.
No, what's crazy? You were talking about working the 9 to 5, coming home, hanging out with the kids, and then being tired, your bounce back, having a 3-day recovery. That really reminded me of a story of like, there was a time in my life I remember where I had worked on one film. Mm-hmm. I think it was for like 2 days. And then I went from that 2 days directly to Cellorama. Mm-hmm. And I worked at like Aeroscope. And we were there from the early morning call time, like it was like a 6 a.m. call time till nighttime. And then I was still working for a website as well. Like, I was doing stuff for Horror Society.
Yep.
So then I left Chillerama, and then I went over to a horror convention and did Friday, Saturday, Sunday at a horror convention. So it was literally, there was like 7 days I slept probably 6-8 hours.
Yeah.
And there's like just a moment where you're like, I can't even see straight.
Yeah.
It's weird, man. Like, I did all that. I came home. I went to sleep 8 hours. I woke up. I was ready to do it again.
Yeah.
And it's like, you get a little bit older. You do a few more things. Your recovery's it's a little rougher.
It is a little
rougher. Because, we had Richard on the show, and there's a project that he and I were talking about. I can't talk about it right now, just for obvious reasons. Mm-hmm. But he was like, and I think this is a testament to our experience and our talent, because we are able to do things like this. And I'm very fortunate that I can do things like this. So I told him about this idea. He's like, yeah, I love it, and I didn't have a script. Mm-hmm. So I went home and had the story, figured it out, and then wrote it in 24 hours.
Yes. And
it was about 100 pages, like 105, 106. And I gave it to him. And I told him, I said, look, I wrote this in 24 hours. And him being in the industry longer than I've been alive, truthfully, he goes, okay, I don't have high hopes.
Sure.
Because it's a script you wrote in 24 hours.
Yeah.
He called me after he read it, and he told me, he's like, I read this thing, and I'm openly weeping.
Yeah.
I don't see how you wrote this in 24 hours.
Yeah.
He's like, this is a well-crafted script that hits all of the points it needs to. And this is essentially a drama.
Yeah.
This isn't horror. This isn't comedy. There's nothing like that. And
was it a first draft too?
Yeah, first draft. But what I did was I wrote the first draft in the first, like, maybe 9-10 hours. Mm-hmm. And then I spent the next few hours rereading and then rewriting it. And then getting it we're getting it where I needed it to be. And so, again, that's one of the things where even after I did that, I was fucking beat.
Sure.
I was like, and I could write a script, no problem. Back in the day, I could write a script in a night.
Yeah.
I could write all night and have a complete script. That was no problem. But now, it's different. It is different. But there are good things happening for us,
There are.
I'm excited to say it's like, I have a script in development, and I'm happy for that,
Yeah.
I'm not jumping up and down because, I think a bit of advice to someone out there is never get too excited and don't jump up and down until the deposit hits your bank.
Yep. Very sage advice.
Yeah. Like, until there's ink on a contract, don't ever think you've made it.
Nope.
I've been down that road and I've been let down. But again, man, even through all the bullshit, I'm still excited. I'm happy. I love doing this.
Yep.
I'm not even sure what episode this is going to be.
No.
But it's like, we've done a lot in a year,
Yeah, we have.
And not just the podcast, but just developing and writing. We've done a lot of fun things, and I think it's only going to get better for us, man.
I think so too.
I really do.
Yeah. One thing, no matter how weird or off kilter the trips get, particularly this one, every time we're done, we're one step closer to something. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And
there's always some sort of like
there's
event that happens that like levels us up.
It does, and that's what's funny. It's like, not that I ever go home disappointed, but there's been a trip or two where I was like, we just didn't do what we hoped we would, and then all of a sudden you'll text me, you'll never believe what just fucking happened. You'll tell me, and I'll be like, well, holy shit, and then. I can't wait to find out what happens after this trip.
Yeah, me too.
You know what I mean?
And here, on the same breath too, is like, I can't wait for the day to where I could just be like, hey, you got to come over here. You're not going to believe what happened. Because the distance, a lot of things you're missing.
Yes.
And that really, it makes me feel bad because you're such a huge part of the show. You're half of this fucking show.
Yeah.
And half of this whole experience that we're doing, and it's like, it makes me sad that you're not here to experience the things that we're doing. Mm-hmm. And there are times where I'm like, man, I don't even want to say, because it almost feels like I'm rubbing it in your face.
Nah.
And I know you don't feel that way, but like just from my point, it's just like, oh, well, we're doing this event. We're going here. Yeah. We're going here. We're doing this,
The Goblin show was the first time I really had some bad FOMO.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Was like,
well, because that's the thing is like, that would have been a great place for you and I to really promote who we are, because there were so many industry people there, and it wasn't like a con,
No.
it was just a function. It was an event, and everyone was kind of doing that.
Yeah.
There was a lot of filmmakers there. There was a lot of people. I mean, I didn't really talk too much about what I was doing, because I'm like, it's not time yet. Because I don't have my partner next to me.
Yeah.
And then I'm really looking forward to the day to where that is a thing, but in the right way at the right time.
Right.
Like, that's one thing is like, I've never rushed this guy, or I've never drawn a line in the sand, of like, you got to be here, otherwise we can't do this. I've always supported his decisions in every way.
It's true.
Like, I've always been, I don't care. I don't care about the distance, bro. Like, we're always going to do this.
Yep. I've never been browbeaten about it. No,
and I never will. That's the thing, is like, I never will.
But you've been transparent too. You've told me of a couple of things that I've missed, or we've missed, because of the distance. Yeah, that stings, but at the same time, I'm like, this is just for now. It's getting closer every time.
And things they're not going to stop.
No.
You know what I mean? Things are not going to stop. Things are always going to happen.
Yep.
So it's like perfect time, perfect place.
Yep.
So yeah, man. I mean, I hopefully you guys wake up now, if you're still listening.
Hopefully you're not driving. Good Lord.
Yeah, because you're asleep.
Time management.
Yeah, for real. So I don't know if you have anything else to add.
No, not really. I think it was another one that I hope the message is clear.
Yeah. Yeah, do not give up.
No.
We always say that.
Nope.
Take every opportunity.
Stay organized and put your health first.
Yeah.
Time management.
Definitely.
You can do this with your family and spend time and still get work done.
Totally.
Get your shit.
Just do not give up, man. Never quit. Never quit.
Because eventually, I do feel, and I feel it now, that the choppy waves are starting to smooth.
Yeah, for sure.
And
that makes me so happy to even hear those words come out of your mouth.
Yeah, because you know how much I stress about this
I
shit.
know you do.
So
I know.
it's, I do feel like with each new trip, with each new project, each new show, we're one step closer to that day where we're both at that function and you're like, all right, let's go down and talk.
Yeah.
All right, let's go, man. And it's coming.
No, it is.
So
It is. All right, brother.
All right.
Until next time.
See you guys.